getting married.
Did we have, I'm sorry, did we have a motion to?
Wait, you'll see what I can only do in a minute.
Ms. Jensen,
I'm gonna
we
do
have a
roll
motion?
call.
Spiral
Yes,
party.
approved, yes.
Very good. I'll call to order this special town board meeting and workshop for Monday, June 24th. As we discussed, I suggest we do a combined workshop and town board meeting, if there's no objection. And I'll ask our chair of the Ethics Committee, Mr. Weinberger, to lead us in the pledge of
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. I'll ask town clerk, Mr. Sampson, to call the attendance.
Councilman Nuno. Here. Councilman Weismandel. Here. Councilman Rossman.
Here.
Councilwoman Deputy Supervisor Charles.
Here.
Supervisor Speck.
Here. We'll start off with public participation. Anybody from the public wish to speak at this time? Mr. Romanowski?
Robert Romanowski, 183 Maple Avenue, Muncie. I have a couple of questions. I don't really answer them here, but I see there's a different sign outside the equestrian center. Could you speak about what's going on there? It has a different name out there. There's a sign there. So could you explain what is happening there? 'Cause I know you canceled the contract with Ramapo Riding. Also, I understand that the town has purchased all the street lights from Orange and Rockland. Who is responsible for the repair now until the lights are changed over to LED? There's a number of lights out on Maple Avenue and Muncie Boulevard. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Romanowski. We will have the appropriate people look into the lights that are out to address that. As to the equestrian center, at this point, the status is the same. The current occupant is still there pending further legal activity. Anyone else from the public wish to speak?
Motion to close?
Motion by Deputy Supervisor Charles, second by Councilman Rossman. All in favor? Any opposed? Carried 4-0. We'll go to...
Sorry.
That was
Charles Rossman.
Charles Rossman. And then we'll go now to the attorney agenda. Item A, settlement of claims.
If I may, the first matter involves a sewer backup claim. It involves a claim where it was determined that the internal pipes of the property owners were not at fault. The town recognizes that it has potential liability. There was a request for installing a check valve, so it wouldn't happen again, a request for reimbursement of a plumber's invoice, plus cleaning supplies. There was a request for lost wages, which we do not recommend the board approve. We now recommend that a total settlement of $1,304.44 be authorized and request the town board to approve that.
Very good. Any questions from Mr. Lynch? Call for motion to
Do
approve.
we expect them to fight us on the work?
No, we'll get a release from them on that, and we'll end it. That's
The lost wages, I see, are only $175, so we're not likely to totally happy to get $1,344. Is there a motion to approve? Motion by Councilman Rossman, seconded, Deputy Supervisor Charles. All in discussion on the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried 4-0. We're going to item 2, settlement of supplemental claim, town versus Brecker.
Mr. Supervisor, members of the board, this concerns a police vehicle that was damaged. Previously, the board had accepted settlement of $7,240.28 payment. In reviewing and doing repairs, there was an internal damage to the vehicle involved, and the insurance company has agreed to pay for that internal damage of $2,102.63. We recommend approval of that amount.
This will make us whole?
It will make us whole.
Very good. Questions from Mr. Lynch? Motion to approve. Motion Deputy Supervisor Charles, second Councilman Rossman. Discussion on the motion. All in favor? Any opposed? Carried 4-0. And we'll go to settlement with Orange and Rockland Utilities.
Orange and Rockland had a subcontractor, Canelli Brothers, doing work on the sewer lines. In the process of that particular work, they did damage to a broken lateral. It required some work to be done. It involved overtime by a town employee in the amount of $3,393.40. The town negotiated with Orange and Rockland. Orange and Rockland agreed to reimburse fully. That amount to the town will be made whole. We would recommend the settlement where we received that money from Marjorie.
So that's for the employee and for the whatever thing that they broke?
It's just for the employee, but it covers any expense the town would have in this matter.
So the lateral, whatever the lateral,
That's all the responsibility of Marjorie Rockland, not us.
so they took care of it.
Yeah, we'll do that, and we'll put them in the contract.
Some of that amount may actually be part of the lateral, but it's entire, the town would have no expense whatsoever.
Wonderful.
Very good. Then I'll call for a motion to approve. Motion by Deputy Supervisor Charles, second Councilman Rossman. Discussion on the motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried 4-0. Go to 2B, settlement of disciplinary charges. Let me just state, we have before us a memo summarizing the nature of the charges and the settlement. If anybody has any questions about it, we have two choices. We either keep it as generic as possible and not mention the employee's name, or we can go into executive session to discuss it. I think the memo is fairly explanatory, but obviously if the council member wishes further information, we could try to get that.
Are we having any executive
I think we're going to need it. We have another personnel matter and possibly, I think, also a litigation matter that we need advice
So
on.
maybe we should table that till then.
That's fine, so we'll do this, we'll do an executive session at the end of the meeting. Very good, then we'll go to purchasing. Ms. Montello, you came back just in time.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. Item 3A on the agenda. It's really not the acceptance of a bid, it's simply that we had gone out for bid previously, and we had a successful bidder of $3.99 cleaners. At some point in time, they had a fire. We then got a second vendor to cover for them while they were putting their store back together. At this point, their store is back together, however, they've changed the name of the corporation, and it's Bright Shine Cleaners, so we're just gonna simply make the adjustment from $3.99 cleaners to Bright Shine Cleaners, and we'll have the option of using either or.
Did it go to $4.99?
It's the same pricing and the same.
Good,
Whatever it was, they're thankful that we're giving them a chance to work with.
that's great. Very good. Any questions about this item? Call for
Why do we need to do this? Oh, this is a new company.
It's a new name.
Okay, so it's
And it doesn't have to go out to bid?
The name, no. It's the same, it's the
same
same,
entity,
Oh,
same
terms and conditions.
people, yeah.
it's the same people, it's just a different entity.
Yeah.
And we also have the other one, and technically, we wouldn't have even had to go out for bid for this type of service anyway, but we do
Right, okay.
when we want to.
Very good. Any, somebody wish to make a motion to approve? Motion by Councilman Rossman, seconded by Deputy Supervisor Charles. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried 4-0. Go to item B.
Item B is the acceptance of the proposal for the improvement of Blauvelt Road. This is for the survey. The proposal of Hatzolah, Nasher, and Ziegler is the one we're asking you to accept in the amount of $25,175
What do we do?
for surveying. Ted is here to discuss
Yeah,
it.
that's the entire length of Blauvelt Road from Cedar to West Maple. It's a very narrow road. The right-of-way isn't what it is on most streets in the town. And before we can do anything to make improvements, we have to know what we own. And this is just what I recommend.
Does that mean the 25,000 sounds right?
Yes.
Do we have the ability
got
to do our own
We
survey?
got 4 quotes.
We don't have that on our own?
Hatzolah was the lowest. The highest quote was 56,000. You know,
Ted's memo is in the back of
Yeah, I
the.
see that.
Right. Very good. And this is for the sidewalk.
yeah.
This is for, yeah.
Any questions for Mr. Zerito? Call for a motion to approve.
This is in the budget? I see there's no source of funds.
We have a general budget for this. We have capital money set aside to do these kinds of things. Move.
Motion by Deputy Supervisor Charles, seconded by Councilman Rossman. Discussion on the motion. All in favor? Any opposed? That carries 4-0. Go to item 3C, acceptance of a proposal for a topographical survey of children's parks.
This is stimulated from the item that we had discussed, where we had the public come in and request that we put back the bridge that has an issue with, that we had to take down. You had a group of people that
Oh,
came
really? You
for the
told me today.
footbridge.
You may be getting a phone call.
Oh, okay.
So-
So this is step one.
Yeah, well,
to
we
do
can tell them
the,
that if we approve this, that we're moving forward with the
Right.
first step.
Did we determine whose bridge it is?
No,
No, it's our bridge.
that's not,
No, this is,
not the cemetery one.
this is the Children's Park Bridge, this is ours.
Was that a question whose bridge it was?
It's a
Somebody
walking,
said
it's
they
a
didn't know
footbridge.
which bridge it was.
No, not
It's
that.
not-
We asked who put up the bridge, they said they
Yeah.
weren't sure.
Oh, somebody put up a bridge.
So whose is it? What makes it out?
So, I think Ted actually sent me an email on that. I think we didn't, maybe it was Paul
Yeah,
who emailed me that
it was
the
Paul
original
and I,
development, the original development of that bridge, I think he said. Am I right about, you were on the
Yeah,
email?
yeah, the bridge was constructed when Children's Park was developed, probably in the 60s. It was a long time
Who
ago.
put it in, the
We-
developer?
It was the town.
The developer, I think, did
But
it.
with us.
We
From what
paid for it?
did-
It's on
no,
our property?
It's on our.
We permitted it on our
we
park for
right.
access.
It's on our town property.
So who determined it obsolete?
Who determined it obsolete is the question.
That would be Michelle.
Based on?
I thought it was structurally unsound.
Yeah,
That was what it
It
was.
was not in good
Was there an
condition.
engineer that looked at it?
I know that it
Did an
was.
engineer look at it?
I saw pictures of it as they were just demolishing it.
Oh, it's been demolished.
It's gone.
Demolished
Yeah,
already.
wow.
It's now structurally not sound.
It's the least sound.
I'm not an engineer, but I think I can go on a limb.
In the interest of
very light on your
public safety, it was taken
Do
down.
those ninja things.
So we're asking you to accept the proposal from Brooker.
I see this was the lowest
$44,000.
bid, the other bids were 5,400,
4,400.
14,500, so certainly the lowest. Any further questions about our
Yeah,
call?
isn't there, is there any wetlands over there?
It says, it explains what they're going to include in it. You can look at that on,
Yeah, I saw that.
so Mr. Zarenko might be able to enlighten us further.
It's running
Okay,
over.
so, what they're gonna do is they're gonna survey the footprint of the old bridge, the abutments for the old bridge, or really the piers where it was originally installed.
The original piers
And
are still
the
there?
intent is to go out and get proposals for the reconstruction of the bridge. We have a bid package ready to send to purchasing tomorrow. I have to review it before it goes out, but there will be a pre-engineered, prefab bridge. It's not, it's like a, you know, it's a bridge manufacturer that would both design and build this, and we need the survey in order to get the footprint of the bridge right.
Are we building to the same spec as it was in the past? Are we making it wider? Are we doing anything different to it?
It'll span the same distance, and it'll be the same width as it was originally.
What is the span?
I can't recall. I
What
don't-
is the width? Do you know?
That's why we're surveying it.
Do you know
I
what the
don't recall.
width was?
No, I don't recall what the span was, nor the
I think
width.
Paul may
However,
have sent
however, it
me
was a footbridge, and it was part of the park. You know, it was an amenity in the park.
What are the normal rules with something like this? When something was once built, do we have to bring it back, or?
We're not obligated to, but we heard from the members of the public who
Right.
indicated that it would benefit to them, so it's something I think is within our discretion.
Uh-huh.
And it's certainly within the ability to use parks and recreation or other funds.
So what, that was my next question. Why isn't
Something
that?
worth looking into, putting a number on it. so no one-
Yeah, then we can make.
The bridge is 6 feet wide, the bridge
Yeah, we don't have
is
to,
6
it's-
feet wide by 50 feet long.
Yeah.
I was around
And
50.
the survey will be 75 feet around that on either side.
And
Original piers are still in?
Yeah, they're still there.
I think we're looking
And
at
the
putting
intent is to rebuild it, and hopefully we do not have to get permits from either the Army Corps or the DEC to rebuild the bridge, because it would be considered a ministerial act to rebuild it in the same location. We do need a permit from the Rockland County Drainage Agency, and we don't anticipate any problems with that.
6 feet sounds a little narrow for a 50-foot span, no? 6 feet sounds a little narrow for a 50-foot span, no?
It's like a pathway. So
Well, the pathway with nowhere to go. If two people are coming from two opposite directions,
Well,
it's a
there-
double carriage, you're gonna get stuck.
We could certainly look into making it.
Yeah, I think that-
I haven't sent out the
Yeah.
proposal yet, so.
6 feet sounds a little narrow.
Okay.
Shouldn't this be paid out of Parks and Recreation then?
Yeah. I think-
No, but even this thing.
It will
survey.
be.
The survey.
Where does it say it's coming?
No, it's a source of funds.
Yeah, it will come out.
Okay.
Usually these things in general come out of either the neighborhood parks and recreation fund or for a park or the town attorney's office. We budget money in there to do these kinds of things.
I think it needs to be at least 8 or 10 feet, I don't know.
Yeah.
If we were building it, yeah, maybe it
Right.
would make sense to
If
make
we're
it a little
going to
bigger.
start speculating the pricing, we should.
Yeah,
That can price it right.
yep. So do we need,
So what is the standard width for the two double strollers to go through? 8, 10 feet?
6 feet works.
So go to 8?
Barely.
Go to
At
8?
least 8.
Okay.
I don't know, maybe we should find out, maybe there's sizes.
So we'll find out the
do we
standard
need
size.
to respec it, or if we
Well, it's
want
not
to?
out yet.
Oh, it's not out, that's right, so we can.
Maybe somebody could do a little homework to find
Right.
out what
And
the.
was this bridge ignored? That's why it went into disrepair?
It's 1960s, 50
Yeah.
years.
Yeah.
50 years of a wooden bridge. Pretty
Oh, it was a wooden bridge?
Yeah.
Very slow.
Oh, wow.
So
What did they bring back, another wooden bridge?
No.
Sounds
I
like
think
it
we're
was
talking about
Had a big
prefabricated,
arch.
yeah.
The
Yeah.
bridge was shaped like that.
like an arch, right?
Yep.
I remember the
On an old Nova show, learned that the original specs for roadways came from the width of a chariot. That was basically the width of 2 horses'
Really?
asses. Nova. I mean,
Depends on how big depends on how big the horse was.
Horses work.
Does it? Well.
Clydesdale?
Okay, let's go.
Very good. So, call for a motion to approve.
Move.
Motion by Councilman Weisman, second by Councilman Nunu. Discussion? All in favor? Anyone opposed? Carries 5-0.
Next item is the Ida Road Improvement Survey, and this has to do once again with the sidewalk project that we're supposed to be moving along with. And this is for the survey work to be done. It's
Whose project is this?
whose project is Ida Road?
Is this a funded
It was
project?
from 2016.
Is it a funded project?
It is yes, a CDBG. And we are late, so we need to get moving quickly.
Very good. So we have the lowest bid was by Axel Nashler.
Is it both sides of that or one side of that?
I believe it, look at the map.
Appropriate side of the street. So it looks like one side.
This is the north side.
The north side,
The north side, yeah.
of Ida.
There's a sidewalk on the south side of Ida. This is on the north side between
Is there a
Francis,
sidewalk on the south side?
between Francis and Jill.
Is there a sidewalk on the south side?
There's no sidewalk.
So
There's
we
no
have a
sidewalk.
new sidewalk map.
There's a sidewalk on the south side.
There is a sidewalk on the south side?
Yes.
I don't know
Yeah,
where,
and there's a lot of
Cleaned
foot
up
traffic in there, and it's very, very needed to have.
It might
Yeah,
be on my
that's
desk
that's
in my
what it's
box.
a sub. I don't think there's one near this side.
On the newspaper.
okay, I'll
We'll find it one tomorrow.
I'm just thinking on the north side, you can meet the retaining walls too. It's a very steep piece of property there on the corner.
So it's 250 linear feet that they're doing.
Yeah.
And it's,
I'm
with
just
concrete,
thinking on the
they're
north side,
5
we have
foot
enough
wide.
money for that.
Well, it's, we probably, if worst case, we'll have to add to it.
Don't think we should look at the south side. I think it's gonna be expensive.
So the CDBG money, we won't be able to reprogram it at this time.
It's either side of the street.
Right.
It's restrictive to which side?
I don't know, I have to check that out, I have to pull the grant out. I think it is restricted to the north side of Ida. We could give it, we'll pull out the resolution, but we're under a time constraint in that if we don't use the money, we lose it.
Or could we by Wednesday have this,
There is no Wednesday,
other one?
right?
Oh, really?
Wednesday is just a
We have the public hearing on the.
Today is the workshop and
And
the
the workshop, the joint meeting.
So we could say that you're approving this, subject to, well, it does say subject to the town attorney's approval. I'll get you the information you're looking for. If we don't want to move forward with it, if it's any different than what's here, we simply won't
We can do
move
that.
forward with it.
Very good. So we'll amend the resolution to do it subject to.
Well, it is subject. It says it's subject
Oh, it's in
to the form of the
Approved by
attorney.
the town attorney's office, so
What
just
is
don't
the
approve
survey
it.
for?
North side, 250 linear feet. I'll get you that information tomorrow.
So we prepare to vote on this tonight?
Yeah.
Very good. All right, I'll call for a motion to approve, subject to what we just discussed. Motion by Deputy Supervisor Charles, seconded by Councilman Rossman. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried 5-0. go to item E.
Right, Sterling Environmental, this has to do with the post-closure monitoring, which were required under our agreement with the closure of the landfill to do.
It's a requirement of the New York State DEC and the US EPA.
And the monitoring, and we budget for this.
This is weird.
Every year.
It's every fifth quarter.
We did it last year.
Yeah. We did, it's every fifth quarter, not every fourth quarter.
Okay.
When we originally closed the landfill, we had to do it every quarter. We had quarterly monitoring that we had to do. And Sterling was air monitoring,
Methane?
groundwater monitoring. Sterling was very instrumental in reducing the frequency of the monitoring to once every fifth quarter instead of every four times a year. So last year they did it in the first quarter, the second quarter. This year it'll be the third quarter.
Is it foreseeable that at some point in time it'll get reduced to even less frequent?
No.
Oh.
As a matter of fact, after I sent this recommendation in, we got a notice from the DEC about emerging contaminants they want us to sample for.
Wow.
Statewide, there are a couple of contaminants that seem to be popping up around landfills. Again, statewide, they want us to sample our landfill as well for these emerging contaminants. There's 2 of them. I've asked Sterling for a proposal for that as well. I haven't received it yet, but hopefully I'll have that for you before they do this round of sampling, which is scheduled in July.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Any further questions from Mr. Zarenko about this? Looks like we have.
Does it shrink over time? I mean, I'm assuming the waste inside, it sounds like.
Yeah, like composting, it degrades over time, and there's settlement in the landfill. But there's so much stuff there that we're not going to see it disappear to nothing. You know, it's
Not nothing, but
Yeah.
I don't know if this would affect everything else though. Okay.
Yeah.
Do we capture methane from there?
No, we do not. We had companies come in to test to see if it was economically viable for
Right.
that, and it was not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll call for a motion, and it looks like we have no other option. but we can do it.
Go through the motion.
Right, so I'll call for a motion to approve the resolution to hire Sterling. Anybody with motion by Councilman Rossman, second by Councilman Wanunu, discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? That carries 5-0. On item F.
So this item I put on, originally it was a resolution, and then I added the fact that it was a discussion item. The town board may or may not be aware that by July 26th, I believe it is, several different grants are due for state funding. LaBerge had previously been working on 2 out of these 3 grants for us prior to us taking on Mr. Rella. So the question before you is the community block development grant. This basically will be for the project, sewer project, right on the Cedar, Waverly area. We have we believe a pretty good shot at getting it. They have done grants before for us, which we were not successful in. They did do 1 grant, which we were successful in. They have had success in grants. I can't guarantee, nobody can guarantee. But the first one, I think they've done a lot of work on. You've spoken, Ted, I think, to both of them. I think you've spoken to Mr. Rella, who kind of backed off of this particular 1 grant. And LaBerge is pretty well prepared with everything to move forward with that grant.
Yes, we've talked to both of them. I'm drawing a blank on the principal guy from LaBerge, but Nicole Allen was part of that. And then Fred Rella, we spoke with him about the sewer projects.
So, and the second one was in reference
How much money potential?
$750,000 on the first one. And really, this is exactly the type of project that they look for, according to everything we've been told. The next one.
So their fees are based on percentage of what the grant is?
We've told them in the past that they had to give us a lump sum fee. or a not to exceed fee. That's how we've done it with them in the past. Completely up to the
Have they
board.
brought us any grants in the past?
Not in the recent last few years. Once, I think they helped us with one grant that we got 400.
$400,000.
Yeah, I think it was, and I'm not
What are we
even
talking
sure.
about?
Street.
That's the one that was Safe Streets.
How much are we talking about here?
On the first one, it's 750.
No,
Sec-
what's the
The
difference?
second,
97.
oh, 97.50 on that one. I would like to possibly go back and negotiate the fee. It's why I put it on for discussion. The problem is that because of the tight timeline with the grant applications, I'm gonna have to, probably be in our best interest to give them an answer one way or another. If you give me a range of what you'd accept as a.
I think we actually need to have a larger strategic conversation about the way we do grants. Because it sounds like the partners that we currently have, in general, not really, we haven't seen much success with them.
Right, so the funding period is July.
Well, there's nobody you can get started,
Right.
I understand
So-
that.
I think
if
we're
you wanna
kind of
do
stuck
it,
at
or
this point.
if
but
you
we need to
want.
look at it. If
You don't have to do it at all.
But I think, to Councilwoman Newman's point, we do need to look at it.
For next year, we've talked about
Yeah.
absolutely getting something on board much earlier.
So we're going to bring on board, we're going to apply for CDBG for the sewer, what else?
The sewer and some sidewalks.
Any specific one?
That was to be determined within the next few weeks with our committee. We have a new map for you to look at. So my recommendation is clearly that one I think, we do have a very good shot at. The next one is for the stadium, to potentially have them put down turf or other improvements. That one, personally, I'm not even sure the town should be doing. I think that's the LDC, and I would withdraw putting that on here at this point
So
in
why don't we
time.
amend the resolution to remove the
And what's the fee for that?
$6,000?
I have a question. Is there any reason why we have to pay them the money before the grant is approved? Like, from my experience, if some company did a grant, we pay them contingent upon the fact that we received the grant.
They don't do
Why
that.
are we paying them before they do the grant? And what if they don't get it? Where's
Well,
the incentive to get
I
it?
think the companies that charge a contingency fee take a higher fee. We want it being a net higher fee if they're taking a percentage.
But it
so-
doesn't matter if we don't get it.
I'm not sure.
I don't think you're allowed, you're not
I'm not sure
allowed,
you're
to- in a
I've seen some-
municipality, you're not allowed.
Yeah, you're not allowed, I don't
Okay,
think you're allowed to do
then we-
that.
And I didn't hear you, I'm sorry.
You're not allowed to take
Take
a percentage of
the
the.
grant.
No, you can administer it.
Administrative fee,
Yeah.
Yeah,
yes.
but you can't do that after the fact. You contract, but if they're going to the grant, they're going to administer it.
Yeah, they're not gonna, they
They
certainly
don't.
aren't gonna do it,
Yeah.
so.
Okay.
We've spoken to them about that.
What's the third one?
The third one, and that was a $2 million
The
potential.
stadium one?
Yeah.
Which agency?
The parks, I believe.
And what's the third one?
It's parkland acquisition.
And how much is that?
That would be, I
to-
think it's up to
And the
$600,000.
cost is $7,000.
And the target is specific?
We had, but, at this stage, I think there's question as to whether or not you want to move forward with that.
What are the chances of that one happening?
Pretty good if you do acquisition. It's less of a field of, there's less of a field of people who are acquiring.
But don't you need to have a target that you're going after, right?
By July 26th, we would have to have
We have to have a
it.
specific
We'd have to
parcel
have a
that we're looking
parcel that
at.
you're looking to buy. I can tell you New Hampstead is going for it, because they're going to be looking to do that,
Village.
village park
Yeah.
on our land, so,
Yeah, we should give an update on that.
yeah. He was here, were you here?
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
we
last
get on that,
Tuesday.
they made the decision to move forward with it.
Are we doing our side? Was that-
We're gonna subdivide, the discussion before the board eventually will be to subdivide off where the village hall might go, and we'd actually be selling that to them.
Okay, and then the rest of the field, what was it, like a dollar?
It'll be their, our property, their improvements, like we did in Wesley Hills several years
So why,
ago.
if they won this, why wouldn't they give us the money for that?
This wasn't, this grant.
No, you said that they're doing it.
At this
That
position.
wasn't this piece of property that we're talking about. We were looking at the one on Highview and Pine, or,
So the recommendation is first and third, it looks like, to move forward with from you?
yes.
Um,
I'm not even sure about the third, it's up to you, I mean, you have to decide. And I'm gonna actually ask them to take less on each of them,
well, we can certainly resolve to do it and then be,
not to exceed the.
not to exceed it and then decide not to go forward.
Yes, correct.
Mr. Sampson has two questions about this resolution.
Two things. Number one, the community development block grant. We're not part of the consortium anymore.
No,
Are
we
going
apply
into-
direct.
Are we
Yeah.
constituted as a direct? And number two, I got a call from Fred Rella today,
Yes,
who apparently I'm the administrator
Yeah,
of the
took care of it.
gateway. How'd you take care of it?
because I have access, because I have my own access, which I told him he has to come in, I'm not giving him the ability to log on, so he's coming Wednesday, and you and he will meet.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I talked to them today. They told me that I was the administrator and that they recommend a process. So I was wondering, I was curious, he wanted me to just give him
No.
access, but there needs to be some
Administrative
departmental
support.
requirement
Well, he
for him
wanted
to have access
to
because
our
he's
system
working
to
on their
prepare the
behalf.
plan.
Right, so I
Well,
told
we
him
can't do that
absolutely
because he's
not.
Okay, good.
Employee.
And that
I'm
I.
wondering, what time, when did you talk to him? Was it late
It
today?
was
It was in the
today.
afternoon.
It was
So,
in the afternoon.
okay, good. It's probably after.
Because he sent a letter to Ted,
Yeah, he
Yeah.
emailed me asking for that.
and he
I
emailed
don't-
everybody, because
I
he
didn't
really
know
is
who had
trying to
it,
move
so I
forward with
started
applying
calling
for
around
grants.
and
He
I
prepped
reached
up
out to
his
Mo.
grants that he was
Well,
doing.
so that's my question. Are there other sewer grants that he's doing different from this?
Yes, there are other grants that he's doing.
Okay.
And we are meeting with him Wednesday.
morning.
And anybody from the board who wishes to join us, any one member of the board that wishes to join us,
Very well.
I don't have my other phone on me to tell it what time that would be.
It's in the
but
morning.
in the
It's either morning or very early
Yeah.
afternoon. Oh, that's fine, I'll look at it. Thank you.
Full speakers over here.
So my recommendation is that you allow me to negotiate the fees with a not to exceed the numbers that are here. And I will work with the attorney's office to do that.
We're meeting Mr. Royal at 11 o'clock on Wednesday morning.
So what was the reason why you wanted to take out B?
I'm not sure whether the town, although we could probably get that grant, I think that you're gonna have to do that from the LDC. So
Should we
if
schedule, if we
the,
want to do it, we should
if we-
schedule another meeting.
correct.
I think
Shortly,
we should
because time is
definitely do
running.
it.
That is a
Definitely.
July timeframe, I believe,
Right.
right? Yeah. All right, why don't we, if there's no further questions, why don't we see if there's a motion to approve the amended resolution to go forward with items A and C with the maximum fee as set forth, with the understanding that the Director of Purchasing will use her skills to negotiate a lower fee.
Can we add to that we could move B to the LDC and vote on it at that time? Because I think this is something we
And that's
definitely.
appropriate.
yeah, you
Yes.
can move to
Right.
act on it. You
Right.
can do that now. and
Can't
then
we do
can
it just the
you could-
LDC,
You could do,
$6,000?
you could, I do not believe there's a notice requirement for the LDC board meeting, for an LDC board meeting, but I have to check with the
Why don't we find out tomorrow
secretary.
and then we'll.
No, he's right
Oh,
here.
that's
So
true.
if the board moves on it, then we could, subject to the attorney saying otherwise, when you conclude this meeting.
Go into an LDC meeting
You
for
can
that
go into an
purpose.
LDC meeting for,
Or do it
or
Wednesday.
what do
Why don't we
Wednesday,
do
right,
Yeah.
yeah,
Wednesday,
Wednesday.
No, I
do
meant
that.
move it into the LDC to.
Yeah, so let me double check what the law, what the regulation is on it. If it's a town board, then you should approve it all now, as is.
Why don't we do
Why
that?
don't
It could
you do
always
that?
then be
Approve
said
it
at
as
the
is,
LDC.
and then if
So we
I-
will not amend it to remove B. We'll keep B in the resolution.
Question is, we're spending $6,000 on something that's.
We're not gonna spend it unless,
You make that decision
you make
before.
What I'm
that-
saying is, we know it's CDBG money for these items, I think is a very good shot, we get it.
Mhm.
The parks, the shovel, and the $2 million for the stadium. What are the odds, do you have any idea?
So if you take a look, no, we don't have, I personally don't have any idea. But it's the Empire State Development Market, so it is a destination. And we do know that the governor and others wish to make destinations, effective. It can't hurt to try it.
Can I clarify, the way I read it, the grant will be up to 20% of the project cost, up to $2 million. So if it's a $2 million project, the most we'd be getting would be 20% of $2 million.
So we can, what I would recommend is that
So
we,
is that correct?
I don't know, I have to.
That's how I read it.
So if that's the case, it's a waste of.
Yeah, it's not what we're getting $2
We're
million.
not putting it in.
We'd have
We're
to,
not
yeah, we'd have to
getting
spend
$2
$10 million to get $2 million.
Right.
Been there, done that.
Yeah, I don't think we're ready to do that.
No. The,
Am I reading it wrong? The amount, for the provision of additional services related to completing the 2019 Empire State Development Mark in New York or equivalent grant application for up to 20% of the project cost, up to $2 million for the Palisade Stadium Improvement Program.
Pretty clear to me.
Yeah, so the grant's 20%.
20%.
That's
So that's-
people
that's
finishing
the
it.
okay, so,
Could I also, I don't know who the right person to get this is, could we see how many, I guess, bids or grants that the Burge actually did for us and how many were successful? How much money did, how much, huh?
one,
Yeah.
they didn't really, what, and
We
they
have
weren't
never, we've
successful.
never
Bridge
spent
grant.
money?
The bridge grant they did for us, and they were not
So the-
successful.
So there's only one grant that they've ever charged for?
Right.
How much should we invest in that?
6,000?
In your reputation of grants,
Yeah.
there's EDG type of grant,
Really?
and drainage grants, I know other municipalities have been pretty successful with it.
All right, so do we want to now amend the resolution to make it for A and B and not C? No, I'm sorry, A and C, not B.
Not big.
Very good. Anybody wish to make the resolution as amended? Deputy Supervisor Charles, seconded Councilman Rossman. Discussion on the amended resolution. All in favor? Any opposed? Carries 5-0. And
Just for
then-
the record, it's not amended until after it's done, so it's not amended, it's just,
Oh, you're right. The revised, the reworded resolution. You're right, thank you. It becomes a resolution.
right.
Yeah. Very good. Then we will move on to item 4, finance, acceptance of agreement for arbitrage rebate compliance.
So, we're obligated under the law to do arbitrage calculations. Basically, that has to do with, the bond monies that we still have in our possession. And this is not something that can be done in-house, it has to be done, outside. And, John has recommended, and I concur, that we should accept the proposal of BLX Group LLC. They're experts in this. We've gotten recommendations from our bond counsel that they are, very good at what they do. And
What is it that they're doing?
they calculate the arbitrage.
Okay, so it's more.
We're not allowed to make money on money, basically, and they calculate the numbers.
Meaning on the money that we collect in taxes that we
No,
put
no,
in the
no,
bank?
bonds.
Bonds.
Money that, so we win a bond, it goes into a bank account?
We win, we get
a bond.
float a bond.
Right.
Goes into a bank account, and you're not allowed to get more.
Any interest?
Oh.
Yeah, and, no, you can, I mean, that's the calculation. This is, if you take a quick read of it, at the end of the year, when it has to do with the final maturity, it's all technical bond stuff, SEC stuff, and ORIC, who is our bond counsel, has told us that we need to move forward and do
And
this.
we've done this in the past?
We did, once we did
There's a
not,
limit on how much you can make.
once we did not do it,
Right.
Simple bank
and we had a
You
problem.
can't make
Okay.
profit.
You cannot make, you
So isn't that a
cannot,
simple bank statement? You
No.
see-
No.
no. It's a whole calculation, because every, when you float a bond, like this is in reference to 5 different bonds that we have.
Okay.
Now, you've spent or not spent a portion of each of those bonds. You then have to calculate it's a very technical, detailed process, and our bond counsel has told us this is the company we need to use. It's not something you do in-house.
Not only is it a calculation, but this company, it gets a legal opinion that the calculation was not correct, so it's. I don't
So we
know.
can rely upon that.
Yeah.
All
Can I
right.
ask what these are?
The bonds?
Yes, please.
The bonds that we went out 4 years ago.
Yeah,
Right,
these are all,
anything specific?
No.
Like you could put this bond is for this bond is for that, or is it just kind of
no,
like?
they're either general
on top of the other?
obligation or.
It says here on
public bonds.
488. They're,
if you want to know what specifically is left over or what
Yes,
specifically
yeah,
went,
right.
Yeah,
there's
that's
the
what the bond-
details of that are
No, I
not in
meant like,
this packet.
what do we bond for? Because did we say that?
Yeah, it wouldn't, I mean, in this list, it wouldn't say
At
that.
this point, it's irrelevant. I mean, we bonded and we have to deal with it.
Okay.
All right, I'll call for a motion to approve. Whoever makes the motion gets to say they understood what it's about.
Yeah.
I'd like to know what that information is. What, I would like to know what do we bond for in those bonds? How do we break that down?
I don't think that
But
would
that doesn't
affect.
have to do, that wouldn't affect
That
this.
wouldn't-
Right,
It's
it's
a good
gone.
question, but it wouldn't affect the need for the arbitrage.
Why don't we get the
Oh, that doesn't
information?
affect.
No, no, no,
No,
no.
no.
It's totally
Okay,
Basically-
so, go ahead,
Right.
go ahead.
No, so that's what it
the
is.
question, exactly
Right,
what I'm
no.
going to.
So this,
Right.
whatever the bonds were for, whether we were buying the
It doesn't
sewer
matter
fees,
what
it
it's
makes no
for.
difference.
Right.
It's the fact that we took money,
Right.
went into a bank,
Right.
and whatever interest and stuff like that, when
Right.
we have a ceiling, it sounds like
Right,
this,
'cause you
what I'm
can't make
hearing.
a profit.
You can't make a certain amount, they're calculating that. Now, why can't this bank
Independent of where
statement?
the money was
I don't
spent for.
So I'm right, exactly. So go ahead, David,
No,
that
so that
question,
question, I don't know, I guess it's not my world, I don't know.
I'm not
bond.
clear.
Well,
Yeah.
the answer is that no matter where the bonds actually went to,
Okay,
the calculation depends upon not where the money went to, but the amount of money that was borrowed.
right.
So let's assume it went to building a bridge or went to making a capital improvement. That would not,
No.
that
Anyway,
wouldn't affect the arbitrage.
It would affect the need for the arbitrage as well, right.
They're also not all sold on the same day.
That's true.
okay, so simply, what is the
Most
need?
ladies
It's a
sell.
bank
What's the
statement.
need?
Most
The
ladies sell.
the need is to calculate the amount of money that is made on any bonds so that we don't have a profit that's
Let
illegal.
me just jump in a little.
Why
If we take a
would we
$10 million bond to build a stadium, we get the bond doesn't work like construction, we get the money up front.
Right,
And it gets released, it's sitting in our bank account.
okay,
So let's say we put in the first $2 million, this $2 million.
draw down,
During that time, it's
Mhm.
collecting interest.
Right.
right,
We're making money on the bond, and that's what.
understood. My question is, why
Sounds like
do
we're
we have
allowed
to
to
have
go in
this
certain-
company
There's a cap, I
do
guess,
this
and they'll
for us
determine
when
it.
we have a finance?
Oh, you can't.
No.
That's what I'm
No.
asking, why do we
The
have
answer is
that?
a very
Very specialized.
esoteric, very
Okay.
unique situation. It's almost like, why doesn't the town attorney's office give opinions on bond?
Right.
It's just too complicated. We're not
Gotcha.
bond counsel.
Okay.
They're specialists.
There's a special,
And
okay.
quite frankly, I think we're best suited by having an outside.
It's an outside,
specialist do it.
okay. So it's the checks and balances pretty much, right?
Right, well, you get expertise. that
Expertise,
We
right?
don't have in-house.
That was where I was trying to go with the
This
question.
has to do with the IRS.
Right, I see. Okay. Got it, now I understand.
Very good.
Yeah, thank you.
You're on?
We all set? Anybody wish to make a motion now?
I make a motion.
Motion by Deputy Supervisor Charles to approve. Anybody? Councilman Rossi makes a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried, 5-0.
No, bring everything.
And we'll go down to town clerk's agenda.
Yeah, grant from there.
Really? I have an agenda?
You have it, it's under town clerk?
Oh,
No, tell them.
I can do it if you
well, a
want.
couple of junkets are planned. One, oh jeez, our town justice.
You gonna let him get away with that?
Our town justice would like
He's a
to
beloved town
attend
clerk.
the New York State Magistrates Association Annual Conference.
And that looks like there's a
Okay.
total amount of up to $1,100 in Lake Placid, and that will be in September. Anybody have any questions?
Just pure curiosity, I'm fine with him doing it. My understanding is he is a justice in more than just our court.
Spring Valley as well.
So why wouldn't we split this fee with them?
That's a very good question.
Because they won't.
Probably won't pay for it, to be honest with
All
you.
right.
And we do budget for.
No, I'm not, again,
No, but that's
in
an
the scheme of
excellent point.
things, it's fine, I'm just like, you
In an
know,
ideal world, they should split it, right? They're getting a
Or at least a
benefit,
percentage,
part of it, yeah. They're getting a benefit also, but
You'd have to get 3 members of the Spring Valley Board to agree.
So
that would be impossible.
first you have to get him to come,
Right.
then agree.
And I'll walk out.
I don't follow.
We don't want-
we
We don't want to try to affect
Back
the
me up, so I'm
impossible.
assuming it's funny what you're saying.
Very good. So I'll call for a motion to approve
Motion.
sending the judge to Lake Placid. Motion by Deputy Supervisor, seconded by Councilman Rossman. All in favor, discussion, all in favor? Any opposed? Carried 5-0.
I would just like to say that since Justice Freed has been on the bench, we've definitely had an increase in the volume
Yeah.
of cases that are processed. We've only heard positive things about the adjudication.
This is not a
Very
question.
true.
I'm not saying.
No.
Oh, okay. It's not-
I'm saying
Yeah,
about the
he's-
public in general, to say that he's definitely added value to our team
very
here
good.
in Ramapo.
Definitely.
And if there's
we
a
all
quality
appreciate his serving here in
assurance
the town.
comment to be made, a lot of people have commented that he's been very professional, not
Very much so.
condescending, not disrespectful to the person who's even in handcuffs.
Right.
Because
He-
he has this way about him.
He
that
treats everybody, whether they're
Right.
lawyers,
Yes.
litigants,
His
defendants, with
bedside
respect.
manner is much so the
And
face
he moves
of
his
the
calendar
town.
very efficiently.
Right, but he's
and,
just, he's fair, but he's a very kind person, and he doesn't have, we don't have that angry person leaving and causing a scene.
We call that the South Line method.
Is that what it is?
That's right.
Also,
We learn from the best.
take a moment to mention to the board that we've had also very positive feedback about our prosecutor,
Yes.
Alyssa Slater.
Yes.
She's been a wonderful addition to the team. She's definitely a team player, and we've heard very positive feedback from her. So.
Absolutely.
Now, our next item. We're gonna do that.
I'd like to mention that our newest councilman, newest councilman, and I would
He's the newest
you wouldn't say anything, no.
Well, Councilman Menuna has been a great assistant.
I think we all have to say something nice about somebody else.
Yeah,
I didn't come here tonight, I expected his tonight, you started it. You left me hanging there.
I was just gonna say that Councilman Mike Swandell has been a huge asset to our organization. He certainly has brought a lot of additions to the table in reference to his insight into traffic.
Yes.
And how to alleviate traffic and increase safety in a variety of areas. And Councilman Wanunu is right on top of our insurance committee. Deputy Supervisor Brendel Charles has worked directly with us on Parks and Recreation and our building department, as has Councilman Rossman done the same things as well. So I think the board has really worked well together. Dennis, sorry to say.
They were in the private sector, we'd have to pay them 4 times.
Amen. Amen.
And on that note,
And the
I'll
next
move to
one-
item 5B,
Correct.
which is authorization for the fire
I
inspector.
just said I feel better.
Yeah.
But looking up the definition of esoteric,
Oh, my
Oh,
goodness.
intended
Yes.
and likely to be understood by only a small number. I feel better about it.
Very good.
This is coming from the attorney that throws in Latin. Diatribes.
So we have,
Director of Building and Zoning has requested that his fire inspector go to an International Code Council conference in Clark County, Nevada.
the good news is there is no cost to the town, that it would be paid completely by the New York State BOC, Building Officials Conference.
Why do we have to get
Because we
involved?
pay him.
So he'll be gone for 4 days,
We pay him for the time he's
but
gone.
he
doesn't
will
take
be
the-
learning for free.
Actually, you should know, yes.
Why is it only one?
Yes, because Adam actually is recognized by the Code Council, the International Code Council, as actually being an expert in certain portions of the code.
Oh.
And he's always been invited, you have to be, you're basically invited to this conference. He represents NISBOC, the New York State Building Officials Conference, the Rockland chapter. And therefore, it's complimentary. I think it's, somewhat of a feather in his cap that
Is he
he's been
speaking
the
there?
one. What?
Is he speaking?
He has in the past, I don't know whether he's doing it this time.
If usually they pay, then that means it's
Yeah,
usually.
he doesn't get any
True.
money from
Yeah,
them,
they
but
usually
he's,
present a class or
Might be a
something.
presenter.
Yeah, good. All right, I'll call for a motion to approve.
Approved.
Motion by Deputy Supervisor Charles, second Councilman Rossman, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Adam will be going to Nevada. And finally, what
What
I'm
time of the
finally,
year?
October, that's nice there, it's good.
Hot.
I've never been there.
Hot in October.
We'll go to item 6, Supervisor's item, memorializing resolution condemning the release on parole of Richard LaBarbera and Robert McCain. We talked about this last week.
I'm told Robert McCain was denied.
Yes, I was going to say that, to me, the good news is that he was denied parole today. I think our resolution still stands because we're opposing his release. We are sympathizing with the family of the young victim, and we are critical of the decision to release the other convicted murderer. So I think we can leave the resolution as it stands, and if there's no discussion or questions, I'll call for a motion to approve. Motion by Councilman Weissmandel, second by Councilman Wanunu. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried 5-0. And then I'm going to ask the town clerk if we could send the resolution to the mother of Paula Bohobevsky, get her address, and send her a copy of that resolution, a certified copy of that resolution. Now, we have new business, but we also have 3 items, I believe 3 items for executive session. So,
We need to add one more item for that executive session, a contract negotiation reference to the high court.
oh, yes, yes. So why don't we go into executive session, I'll enumerate the type of things we need to discuss, and then we'll come out, and then if anything has to be done, it can be done under new business, any action, and then we'll close the meeting. So just to go into the executive session, we have the following items. We have contract negotiations regarding an intermunicipal agreement for animal shelter services and potential litigation. We have another item that...
Personnel.
Active environmental.
Right, that we talked about in the last meeting, that Mr. Lynch needs to advise us on, that's in pending litigation. We have the request by Hatzolah, well, I don't know if that's an executive session item, that's just a new business item.
Right, let's do that.
So I'm sorry, but that's new business, not executive session. And we have another personnel item, we have the disciplinary personnel item, and we have, that we discussed earlier, and we have another personnel item that we discussed at a previous meeting regarding amending our contract to allow for donation of sick time in certain situations. So,
Like that, connectivity system versus zoning board of appeals.
Which
to discuss
one?
that, certainly.
Which one?
One that I found them about.
The most recent.
There's a
There are
couple
about
other
3 or
ones.
4.
Yeah, there's a couple other ones
Yeah.
that came in.
So why don't we call for a motion for those reasons to enter into executive session? Motion, Deputy Supervisor Charles, second by Councilman Wanunu. All in favor? Any opposed? 5-0. We are now in executive session. I'll ask the town clerk and the chief of staff and town attorney to remain in the room.
Ted, I don't think...
See what I can only do in a minute.
Mr. Jensen,
I'm gonna
we-
call
Gonna
Helen.
spiral
Yes.
party.
Yes.
So we're out.
Third party ticket, sir.
Thank you.
I'm
Appreciate
calling
that.
Helen.
$5,000.
All right, let's wrap up our meeting.
Hey, Helen, it's Mona. How are you?
Mona's calling. Mona's calling.
I'm okay. Is there court tonight?
I wonder if the voicemail.
And somebody.
No,
Beat it
because
to
there's
it.
got wine out the door here for court. Yeah.
Court's dismissed. Everybody go home.
You got a break today.
Your son is in school.
Why don't we finish up with our meeting, our agenda?
You do that
Let's go back
Thanksgiving
to
and Christmas.
item, under the attorney's agenda, item 2B, settlement of disciplinary charges. We had a chance to discuss this matter in executive session. Based upon that, I'll call for a motion to approve the proposed resolution. Anybody wish? Motion by Deputy Supervisor Charles. Is there a
This is the Parks and
second?
Rec employee.
Right,
Sorry.
to approve the proposed
Charles.
disciplinary settlement. Seconded by Councilman Wanunu. Discussion on the motion. All in favor? Any opposed? Carries 5-0. And then we have one item under new business, which we've discussed previously. This is the request by Hatzolah to increase their funding. They wrote a letter, which we circulated to the board last week, where they outlined the budgetary problems that they had and the reason why they are constrained now to ask us for increased funding. They're $1 million short, but they've indicated that they would attempt to fundraise half of that if we would provide the other half. Anybody have any questions or discussion on this request? I'll call for a motion to approve. Motion by Councilman Wanunu, second by Councilman Weissmandel. Discussion on the motion. I think we'll need a written resolution to...
I will certainly,
yes, thank you. We would need a waive, good point, we would need a waive our 24-hour rule. So we'll table the motion on approving it. We'll have a motion to waive the rule by Councilman Weissmandel, second by Councilman Wanunu. All in favor of waiving the 24-hour rule? Anyone opposed? Carried 5-0, and after the rule is waived. We had a motion to a second to approve an additional $500,000 in funding to Hatzolah for the reasons set forth in their letter. Any discussion on that? All in favor? Any opposed? Carries 5-0. We have one more item for new business that we discussed in the executive session, and that was to authorize entering into a memorandum of
I have a
agreement.
proposed resolution.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Lynch.
This should be a resolution authorizing the execution of a collateral understanding by the town supervisor in the form approved by the town attorney's office to allow resolution of an employee's medical situation and use of sick time.
Very good.
No, but hold on, I thought we were having a end date of.
Effective until the,
And also specifically cancer.
yeah.
I think they want the specific
Can you
cancer.
read that again? I'm
Yes.
sorry, Mr.
Okay,
Lynch.
I'll amend, resolution authorizing the execution of a collateral understanding by the town supervisor in a form approved by the town attorney's office to allow resolution of an employee's cancer medical situation and use of sick time up to the end of this calendar year.
Given-
Why don't we do, if I can add that, to make it a little bit more specific, to allow donated sick time from other employees to be used intermittently, with the understanding that it is subject to the approval of the department head and would be in effect as long as the current contract remains in effect, which is until December 31st, 2019. I think that was our understanding?
Yes.
Very good.
The only thing I would maybe change, but just in case the contract doesn't get approved in December,
Yeah.
this should end in December.
Well, this would have a sunset, yeah.
Right.
Sunset of December 31st, 2019.
I'll move it.
Motion by the deputy supervisor, second Councilman Rossman. Discussion, I think this encapsulates.
Oh, I'm sorry. Geez, I'm so busy with my.
I have it.
Moved and seconded.
I'll move it.
Charles,
Brendel
Charles
and Michael.
Rossman.
And this, I think, sums up what we discussed in the executive session. It would be subject to a form approved by the town attorney's office and to
Personnel.
and to
We did.
approval by the CSEA as well.
Yes.
Very good. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries 5-0. And chief of staff, you'll notify the affected employee of this option immediately.
Immediately.
Very good. Does anyone else have any other new business? And I'll call for a motion to adjourn tonight's meeting. Motion by Councilman Rossman, seconded Deputy Supervisor Charles. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We stand adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
So,